Hello and welcome Necacapers. In today's video, I will be talking about Mob Psycho 100 Season 2 Episode 1 to 6. Starting the second season, Reigen accepts an exorcism job from a farmer and quickly deduces that there was some spirit involved. Reigen summons Mob, who exorcises the high-level spirit Wriggle by controlling plants using his psychic powers. Meanwhile, Kamuro Shinji resigns from his post as student council president for framing his fellow students. Misato jumps on the chance to help Mob develop and become the leader of the Psycho Helmet Club and trains Mob to run for president. When it is Mob's turn to speak, he spends his allocated 5 minutes mute on the stage, being too scared to say anything. Mob places last, with Kamuro being re-elected as president. Feeling down, Mob is told to go home by the Body Improvement Club. After receiving a love letter, Mob meets Emi, who asks him out. Mob starts walking home with her every day after school. Emi tells Mob that she likes books and is writing a novel, which Mob agrees to read. Mob is happier at home and work. 1 week after the election day, Emi reveals that she asked him out on a dare, and asks him whether he has his own feelings or opinions. As she couldn't read him, she apologizes and leaves. Mob is seemingly not upset, but remembers the time he spent with Emi over the week. Emi's friends tease her for writing a novel and tear up her work. Mob confronts them and picks up the torn pieces and says he made the decision to consider his feelings more. When a gust of wind blows the pieces away, in a rare display of emotion, Mob uses his powers and reassembles the book and confesses to be an esper. While Emi thanks him, Tsubomi, who is watching the entire thing, says she is very impressed. Dimple is surprised Mob showed his powers to another person and asks whether Emi fell for him. Emi gets an idea for a story by thinking about Mob, a middle school student with psychic powers. Reigen and Mob are hired to eradicate certain urban legends that have emerged, but they face competition from a rival psychic. Reigen quickly shows Mob how average things are misconstrued and blown into scary urban legends, like a human-faced dog merely turns out to be a dog whose face was drawn over by some children. However, things take a turn for the worse when one of the urban legends turns out to be real. Mob quickly destroys the evil legend, and Reigen decides to start a website for his psychic business. Reigen's website proves to be successful, but he attracts a bad job when a man asks Reigen to curse someone. Initially refusing, Reigen eventually placates the man by giving him a false charm and saying that something bad will eventually happen. Mob is slightly disturbed. He is unable to understand the desire to curse someone and that the man will live the rest of his life believing he had someone cursed, much to Reigen's surprise. They are then hired to exorcise a woman's apartment, where the evil spirit is revealed to be a neighbor who fell in love with the woman and used his out-of-body experiences to spy on her. The woman rebuffs his feelings in disgust, and he is arrested. Mob is puzzled at her change in attitude, from fear to disgust, on discovering he was just human. Several college students hire Reigen and Mob to protect them from an evil spirit, while they take a spirit photo at a haunted area. They refuse to pay Reigen since nothing bad happened. Later, some bullies attempt to mug Mob, but Mob is protected by Dimple, Ritsu, and the Body Improvement Club, who warn him that he has to fight back against such people, for his good and the good of society. The college students return when their spirit photo was actually real. They ask Reigen to exorcise the spirit, promising to pay this time. They go back to the haunted area, where Mob discovers 3 spirits, a deceased family who died together and have only wanted to live a bit longer together in peace. The father points out that they will fade away naturally when their desire is fulfilled, and Mob tries to plead for them. The college students refuse to hear him out, but Reigen is slightly more troubled, not wanted Mob to destroy innocent, peaceful spirits, but desiring to maintain his reputation as a reliable psychic who listens to customers. Dimple attempts to provoke the father into become an evil spirit and kill the college students, but the father does not change. Reigen and Dimple try to tell Mobb that he doesn't have to exorcise them, but Mobb begins to tremble, stating that if he protects the spirits, then he must harm the students. Reigen quickly realizes that Mobb's recent feelings are a result of his unique worldview, where spirits and humans are equal, and that taking on so many jobs so quickly has forced Mobb to confront ideas he's not ready for. Reigen quickly performs a faux exorcism to placate the students and comforts Mobb. Mobb contemplates what would happen if he ever decided to curse someone, and if anyone would stop him, but falls asleep as he thinks. Mobb and Reigen are hired to do an exorcism for a rich man named Masashi Asajiri. Upon arriving, they see that he has hired many other psychics as well, including Banshumaru Shinra and Kirin Jodo, leader of the Sun Psychic Union. Asajiri described how his daughter, Minori, was possessed by an evil spirit and he had been forced to lock her up. They do rock, paper, scissors to determine what order the psychics get to go in and see her in. Reigen wins and goes in to talk to Minori. It seems as though she is not possessed at all, leading many of the psychics to believe that Asajiri was just abusing her, but Reigen notices inconsistencies in Minori's conversation with him, causing the spirit to reveal itself. Dimple recognizes the spirit as Keiji Megami, a former psychic. While the psychics go in to exorcise the spirit one by one, Dimple explains who Megami was, warning Mobb and Reigen not to get involved. However, Mobb tries to exorcise Megami from Minori's body anyway. Eventually, Mobb realizes that Megami is rooted too deep in Minori and decides to use an out-of-body experience to go inside of Minori to chase the spirit out. Succeeding in leaving his body, Megami attempts to possess Mobb's body, but Dimple is already inhabiting it, allowing Mobb to enter Minori's body whilst Megami is distracted. Megami explains to Mobb how they are in a mental world and he can bend it to his will. He demonstrates this by making Mobb think he can damage him while there, before taking away his powers and defeating Mobb. Megami explains that psychic powers are fueled by emotions, and that negative emotions are stronger. He crafts the mental world into an exact copy of Mobb's life, except that he has no powers, friends, or family. At Megami School, a powerless Mobb is shunned by his classmates. The high schoolers that bullied Mobb earlier also show up and Mobb is powerless to stop them. Even Ritsu is a stranger in this world, and he does nothing to help Mobb. Keiji Megami explains that he was a psychic like Mobb. When he was alive, his mother had fallen ill. Keiji undertook extreme jobs, not sleeping enough to kill people, to pay for his mom's treatment. His mom died of unknown reasons, but she blamed Keiji for her death. Keiji, disguised as Minori, also transfers into his class, and she leads her classmates in constantly bullying Mobb. Even the teachers in the class only considered bullying as normal. Megami explains his backstory and why he despises people who use others. An incident happened when Mobb is about to feed stray cats. Dimple manages to use Mobb's powers to open the door and let the other psychics go free, but he stays and decides to go into Minori's body and save Mobb. Meanwhile, Mobb gets beat up by Minori and her friends, so Megami gives him his powers back. Mobb immediately turns the tables and is about to kill one of his bullies. Dimple shows up and brings Mobb's memory back. Dimple then realized that the people in this world are actually all of the spirits he had absorbed. They start attacking Mobb, who is determined to save Minori at least. Mobb unleashes the power of his courage on Megami and defeats the army of spirits. Megami's defeat releases a mass of spirits that even he could not control, which proceed to destroy Mobb's body. Mobb is eventually overwhelmed by the monstrous conglomeration of spirits, but reaches percent and blasts the entire mental world apart. Mobb wakes up in his own body. Megami leaves Minori's body and attempts to leave the Asajiri residence, but Matsuo captures him into a flask, renaming him Puddingchan. Minori wakes up and walks up to Mob. She could see everything that happened in her head and saw how Megami portrayed her. Mob asks her if she actually acted like that in real life, which she confirms. Minori starts crying and apologizing over and over again. Mob says it was okay because now he sees that people could change. With Mob torn between his friends and his work as a disciple of Reigen, he finally realizes that Reigen has just been using him for his psychic powers. As Mob and Reigen go their separate ways, Reigen also realizes, after a night at the bar, that he has no friends and that his life is a little miserable. Even though Mob left him, he reminds himself that he himself started this business and can go on without Mob's help. As he is by himself, he starts to change. He begins to film the process of exorcising and uploads it to the net, giving free courses to prevent people getting tricked by frauds and giving people advice about their life. Reigen's reputation increases, and he soon becomes known as Seasoning City's Pro. A few days later, Reigen is interviewed by magazines and even offered to be on a television show. He gladly accepts as it could make him even more famous. However, the show is actually a setup by Kirin Jodo to exploit Reigen as a fraud due to Jodo having a grudge after discovering that Reigen kneed him in the face while possessed by Keiji Megami. So that's the end of it. What do you think about the story? And what video should I do next? Leave a like and comment below. If you like the video, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. That being said, see you later in the next video.